My fiancée left her work laptop open, then a message popped up from her. Networking mentor. I opened it, and saw their romantic weekend plans. That night, I didn't confront her. I just booked the room next door, brought a camera, and let her set herself up. I never imagined I'd be sharing something like this, but I need to get it off my chest. Maybe some of you have been through similar experiences and can offer advice or at least some understanding. I'm Jake, 34, from Chicago. For the past 5 years, I've been with my fiancée, Sarah. We met at a friend's party, and from the moment we started talking, there was an undeniable connection. Sarah's intelligence, beauty, and infectious laugh drew me in. We moved in together after 2 years and got engaged last year. I truly believe we were building a future together. Sarah works in marketing for a firm downtown. She's always been dedicated, often bringing work home and putting in extra hours. I admired her commitment, even if it meant we had less time together. I work in IT, so I understood the demands of a busy career. A few months ago, Sarah mentioned she'd been assigned a mentor through a networking program at work. She spoke about him occasionally. His name was Mark, a senior executive with years of experience. She said he was helping her navigate complex projects and offering valuable career advice. I didn't think much of it. Having a mentor is pretty standard in the corporate world. One evening, Sarah came home exhausted. She had a big presentation the next day and decided to turn in early. As she slept, I stayed up watching TV in the living room. Her work laptop was on the coffee table, and as I got up to get a drink, I noticed a notification pop up on her screen. It was a message from Mark. The preview showed, "Can't wait for our weekend getaway. I booked the cabin, it's going to be unforgettable." My heart stopped. I felt a cold wave wash over me. I knew I shouldn't invade her privacy, but my instincts took over. I clicked on the message, and there it was, a detailed plan for a romantic weekend in a cabin near Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. They had been planning this for weeks, exchanging messages that left no room for misinterpretation. I sat there, staring at the screen, feeling a mix of anger, betrayal, and heartbreak. Confronting her right then would have been the obvious choice, but something held me back. I needed more than just messages. I needed undeniable proof. So, I decided to let things play out. Over the next few days, I acted as if everything was normal. Sarah told me she had a work retreat coming up and would be gone for the weekend. I feigned understanding and even helped her pack. Inside, I was seething, but I kept my composure. The day she left, I waited a few hours and then made my move. I had done some digging and found the cabin they had booked. It was a cozy spot near Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. I booked the room right next to theirs, packed a bag, and grabbed a camera. I wasn't sure what my plan was, but I knew I needed evidence. When I arrived, the place was as picturesque as you'd imagine, a serene lake, dense woods, and charming cabins. I checked in and waited. From my window, I could see their cabin. A few hours later, I saw them arrive. They looked every bit the couple, laughing, holding hands, completely engrossed in each other. I spent the next day documenting everything. I felt like a private investigator, snapping photos of them on the porch, walking by the lake, sharing intimate moments. It was gut-wrenching, but I knew I needed this. That evening, I couldn't take it anymore. I knocked on their cabin door. Sarah opened it, and the color drained from her face when she saw me. Mark appeared behind her, confusion turning to shock as he recognized me. "Jake? What are you doing here?" Sarah stammered. "I could ask you the same thing," I replied, holding up the camera. "But I think I already know the answer." Mark tried to speak, but I cut him off. "Save it. I have all the evidence I need." Sarah broke down, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry, Jake. I never meant for this to happen." I felt a surge of anger but also a deep sadness. "You made your choices, Sarah. I just needed to see it for myself." I turned and walked away, leaving them standing there. The drive back to Chicago was a blur. My mind raced with thoughts and emotions. How could she do this? What did I miss? Was our entire relationship a lie? In the following days, Sarah tried reaching out, leaving messages, and sending texts, but I couldn't bring myself to respond. I needed space to process everything. I confided in a close friend, who advised me to take my time and not make any rash decisions. Eventually, I met with Sarah. She was remorseful, admitting that things with Mark had started innocently but escalated over time. She claimed it was a mistake, a lapse in judgment, and begged for another chance. But trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild. I told her I needed time and space, and we decided to call off the engagement. It was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, but I knew it was the right one. Looking back, there were signs I ignored: late nights at work, increased secrecy with her phone, a certain emotional distance. Love can sometimes blind us to the realities staring us in the face. It's been a few months since then. I'm focusing on myself, diving into work, and reconnecting with friends. The pain is still there, but each day gets a little easier. After I walked away from that cabin, I thought it was over. I thought I had seen the worst of it. Turns out I was wrong. About a week later, I got an email from an unknown account. No name, no subject. Just a message: "You don't know the whole story." Attached was a video. I almost didn't open it, but curiosity won. The video was shaky, like someone had filmed it with a phone hidden behind something. It showed Sarah and Mark in what looked like his office. They weren't touching or anything, but they were whispering. Then Sarah looked around and said, "He'll never find out. He trusts me too much." She laughed. Mark leaned in and said something I couldn't hear. Sarah replied, "We just need to get through the next 2 months. After that, he'll sign it all over." Sign what over? I paused the video and just stared. My stomach dropped. There was more going on here than just cheating. I went back and watched it again. Then again. I knew Sarah had access to some of my accounts, financial, mostly out of convenience. I trusted her. She'd helped me with stuff when I was swamped with work. She had my login for the joint savings. And I'd recently started a business, something I'd worked years to build. I made her part owner on paper because, well, we were getting married. It felt right at the time. My hands started shaking. I logged into the business account. At first, everything looked fine. Then I saw it: 2 transfers I didn't recognize. Both large. Both sent to a company I'd never heard of. I Googled it. Nothing legit came up. I checked my personal account. Same story. Small, careful transfers over the last few months. Each one just under 1,000. I hadn't noticed because I don't check it daily. I froze. This wasn't just about cheating. She'd been stealing from me. I needed help. I called my friend Tony. He's a lawyer. I told him everything, and he came over that night. After hearing the full story, he looked at me and said, "You need to lock down every account. Now. Before she cleans you out." We spent the next few hours changing passwords, freezing accounts, and pulling every bank statement we could find. Tony said we need to prove everything before taking legal action, especially since her name was technically on some of the documents. The next day, I went to the police. I filed the report. The officer took notes, but said unless I had hard proof of criminal intent, they couldn't do much. So I dug deeper. I went through Sarah's emails. I found more messages, some deleted, some archived, between her and Mark. They weren't just planning a weekend together. They were planning to launch a business of their own. One that oddly mirrored mine, right down to the client pitch structure. That's when it clicked. They weren't just having an affair. They were using me. All of it, our relationship, the fake mentorship, the late nights, was part of a bigger plan to rip off my work. And somehow, I wasn't angry. Not the usual kind of angry. I was cold. Focused. I felt something shift in me. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I played dumb. I waited for her to reach out again. And of course, she did. She showed up at my apartment 2 days later. Said she wanted to talk, said she was sorry again, said we were worth saving. I let her talk. I watched her lie to my face, and I pretended to believe her. Then I asked her, "So when are you planning to tell me about the other business?" She froze. "What business?" she said. I didn't answer. I just pulled out my phone and hit play. That same video from the anonymous email. Her face turned white. She didn't say a word. Just stood there, breathing heavy. Then she turned and walked out. I haven't heard from her since. Not directly, anyway. But yesterday, I got another message. No name again. It said, "Mark's not who he says he is. Be careful." Now I don't know what to believe. Was this bigger than just Sarah and Mark? Were there more people involved? I feel like I've only scratched the surface. I don't even know who sent the videos. Could be someone trying to help, or someone trying to mess with me more. What I do know is this: I'm not backing down. Not this time. I'm going to find out everything. After Sarah walked out, I thought I might finally get some silence. But the next day, I found something in my mailbox. No name, no return address. Just a flash drive taped to a plain white card. The card only said, "Check the files before you trust anyone else." That was it. I plugged the drive into an old laptop I don't connect to Wi-Fi. I've worked in IT long enough to know how easy it is to get burned by spyware or viruses. The drive had one folder labeled Rewind. Inside were screenshots, emails, message logs, PDFs. Some from Sarah. Some from Mark. But some were from someone else. A name I recognized but hadn't thought of in years: Jenna. Jenna was my ex. We dated back in college and stayed friendly after breaking up. I hadn't spoken to her in a long time, not since before I met Sarah. But there she was, in messages with Sarah. Not recent ones either. These went back years. Before Sarah and I even got engaged. One of the earliest messages was just a contact intro. Jenna to Sarah. "He's ambitious, loyal, and will always pick work over people. Exactly your type." What the hell? At first I thought it was some kind of mistake. But there were too many messages. Too much detail. Turns out, Jenna and Sarah worked at the same company for a while, briefly, in different departments. Sarah never told me that. Jenna never mentioned it either. One message from Sarah said, "If he buys into the business idea, I can get inside access. Mark's ready whenever I give the signal." So this whole thing? It wasn't random. It was planned. I sat there shaking as it all clicked. Sarah didn't fall into a messy work affair. She was planted. She was introduced to me on purpose. Someone had set the entire relationship up. Why? That's when I started thinking back to a contract I turned down last year. It was a big tech firm out of Boston. They offered me a deal to sell my company, my name, my client list, all of it. I refused. Something didn't feel right about their terms. The firm? They were linked to a shell company. One of the same companies Sarah had sent money to. They had tried to buy me out. When I said no, they changed tactics. They sent Sarah. I couldn't wrap my head around it. But the proof was there. A company trying to steal my intellectual property by setting me up with a fake relationship? It sounded insane, like a conspiracy theory. But the documents, the transfers, the messages, they were all real. I called Tony again, told him everything. This time he didn't just look concerned, he looked scared. "Jake, if this is real, you're not just dealing with a cheating fiancé or some office affair. You're dealing with corporate espionage." He advised me to stop contacting Sarah or Mark. Don't message them. Don't show my hand. Play dumb. Let them think you're still just a heartbroken guy. I did exactly that. But inside, my head was on fire. I started quietly backing up all my files, moving my business assets offline, setting up legal traps to catch anyone trying to replicate my work. But then something else happened. Jenna called me. I hadn't heard her voice in years. It was awkward at first. Then she got quiet and said, "I didn't think it would go this far." I didn't respond. "I was approached by someone I used to work for. They asked about you. They knew I had dated you. They offered me money just to set something up. I swear I didn't know it would turn into this." I asked her what they wanted. She hesitated, then said, "They wanted your prototype. The one you showed me years ago. The AI-driven scheduling platform." She remembered. I had shown her the early draft back in college. It had evolved since then, become the backbone of my current software. They'd been chasing that tech for years. I asked her who they were. She wouldn't say. Just warned me. "Don't trust anyone. And whatever you do, don't go to the cabin alone again." Cabin? I never told her where Sarah and Mark had stayed. I never told anyone that detail except Tony. That night, I checked my apartment for bugs. Paranoia or not, something was wrong. I swept every room, every device. Found nothing, until I took apart my car's dash cam. There was an extra micro SD card taped underneath. Not mine. I plugged it into my laptop. It held two things, one file named contract_final.pdf, and one named trail_cm.mp4. I opened the video. It showed me and Sarah, us, months ago, at the same cabin. Except I didn't know there was a camera pointed through the trees. It filmed us kissing, drinking wine by the fire, walking back into the room. Why was that being recorded? Then it clicked again. This wasn't just about stealing my tech. They were gathering blackmail. And now, I wasn't even sure of who they were anymore. The video from the trail cam haunted me. That wasn't just a hidden camera. It was positioned like someone knew I'd be there. Like they'd been watching us even then, months ago. I started to wonder if this had all been building to something bigger. If I hadn't caught Sarah with Mark, would they have used that footage to blackmail me? Make me give up my software under pressure? I needed to confront Sarah. Not to ask for answers, I had most of them now. I needed to see her face when I told her I knew. But I didn't go alone. Tony insisted on coming. "This isn't just personal anymore," he said. "This is a legal trap. Don't let her flip the story." We found her at a coffee shop downtown. Public enough to keep things civil, hopefully. She looked surprised when she saw me. A little pale, like she hadn't slept. Mark wasn't with her. She looked over at Tony and said, "I didn't know you were bringing backup." I didn't even sit down. "I know everything, Sarah," I said, keeping my voice low. "The messages, the money transfers, the fake company, the business deal behind my back. And the footage. All of it." Her face dropped. Tony sat down calmly. "Just so you're aware, we're collecting every piece of evidence and sending it to authorities. You may want to think about coming clean before someone else tells your story for you." She didn't respond right away. She just stared at her coffee like it might hold an escape. I pressed forward. "Who sent you? Was it Jenna? The Boston firm?" Still nothing. "You really thought I'd never find out?" My voice was rising now, the pressure of months pushing behind every word. "You moved into my life like it was a job. You slept next to me every night. You helped build something just so you could steal it." Finally, she spoke, quiet, shaky. "I didn't mean to fall in love with you." Tony raised an eyebrow, but I just froze. Sarah looked up at me. Her eyes were red. "Yes, it started as a job. Jenna introduced me. They offered me money. Said they needed insight into your company, that you were already stealing ideas and hiding money." "What?" "That's what they told me, Jake. That you were using stolen code from another startup. That you were shady. You believed them?" "I didn't know you then," she said. "I thought it was just another gig. Just intel. I didn't plan to stay. But then, you were good. Kind. You didn't deserve what they were trying to do." She took a deep breath. "So I stopped. I told them I was out. But Mark didn't stop. He worked with them directly. That cabin trip? It was a setup. He wanted you out of the way. That hit me like a brick. You were supposed to walk in and fight him. She continued. They were going to use it. Say you attacked him. Use the trail footage to prove you were unstable. Then pressure you to sell to avoid a lawsuit. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You went along with it. I didn't know the full plan. Not until it was too late. And by then, I knew you'd never forgive me anyway. Silence hung heavy over the table. People around us had started watching. A few turned their heads when she said, "Set up." But I didn't care. I was tired. Exhausted. You wrecked everything, I said. Not just the business. Not just my trust. My entire life. She nodded slowly. I know. Tony stood up. That's all we need, Sarah. We'll be in touch through legal channels. Sarah didn't cry. She didn't argue. She just sat there, hands wrapped around her coffee like they were the only thing holding her together. We walked out into the street. The cold hit my face like a slap, but it didn't hurt as much as what I'd just heard. Later that night, I got a call from Jenna. I didn't answer. I got another anonymous message, too. Just one line. It's not over. I changed every password. Moved servers. Got a security firm involved. I even hired a private investigator to trace who was really behind the shell company in Boston. That part's still ongoing. As for Sarah, I never saw her again. But a few months later, I got a letter from her lawyer. She waived any claim to the business. Quietly. No fight. Maybe that was her way of saying sorry. Or maybe she was just trying to disappear. The aftermath wasn't clean. I spent months paranoid, checking over my shoulder. I lost a few clients who didn't like the drama. I lost friends who didn't know what to believe. I lost time. Sleep. But I didn't lose myself. Not completely. What hurts most isn't the money or the betrayal. It's that I looked her in the eye every day and had no idea who she really was. I let her in. I trusted her. Tony calls it a near corporate assassination. I just call it heartbreak. The people closest to me, my mom, my brother, even my landlord, they all had something to say when the dust settled. Some said I dodged a bullet. Some said I was naive. Some asked how I didn't see it coming. I didn't have an answer. But I do now. Love makes you blind. And trust? Trust can get you killed if you give it to the wrong person. I'm still rebuilding. Business is stable again. I work alone now. No more partners. No more mentors. I still check the mailbox for packages. Still don't open unknown emails without scanning them first. I don't date. Not yet. Don't know when I'll be ready for that again. But I'm still here. Still standing. And I won't be fooled again.